Welcome to the Big Guy Podcast here on ACAST. We invite you to become members of ACAST Plus. Thank you. Hey everybody, this is your man Jim. Let's sit back, relax, listen to me as I tell you a story. It'll be all about stories, mystery, horror, classical, even some poems. So please enjoy this. Today's short story is called A Resumed Identity by Ambrose Pierce. The review as a form of welcome. One summer night, a man stood on a low hill, overlooking a wide expanse of forest and fields. By the full moon hanging low in the west, he knew what he might not have known otherwise, that it was near the hour of dawn. A light mist lay along the earth, partly filling the lower features of the landscape, but above it, the taller trees showed it well, defined masses against the clear sky. Two or three farmhouses were visible through the haze. None in them, naturally, was a light. Nowhere, indeed, was any sign or suggestion of life except the barking of a distant dog, which repeated with mechanical iteration, served rather to accentuate than dispel the loneliness of the scene. The man looked curiously about him on all sides, as one who among familiar surroundings is unable to determine the exact place and part in the scheme of things. It is so, perhaps, that we shall act when risen from the dead and await the call to judgment. 100 yards away was a straight road, showing right in the moonlight, endeavoring to orient himself as a surveyor or navigator might say. The man moved his eyes slowly along its visible length and at the distance of a quarter mile to the south of the station saw, dim and gray in the haze of a group of horsemen riding to the north. Behind them were men afoot, marching in column, and dimly gleaming rifles aslant on their shoulders. They moved slowly in silence. Another group of horsemen, another regiment of infantry, another and another, all in unceasing motion towards the man's point of view. Past it and beyond, a battery of artillery followed. The cannoners riding with folded arms on limber occasion, and still the interminable procession came out of the obscurity to south, passed into the obscurity to north, with never a sound of voice, nor hoof, nor wheel.
The man could not rightly understand. He thought himself deaf, said so, and heard his voice, and heard his own voice, although it had unfamiliar quality that almost alarmed him. It disappointed his ears' expectancy in the matter of timber and renaissance, but he was not deaf, and that for the moment sufficed. Then he remembered that they are natural phenomena to which someone was given the name acoustic shadow. If you stand in the acoustic shadow, there is one direction from which you will hear nothing. At the Battle of James Mill, one of the fiercest conflicts in the Civil War, with 100 guns in place, spectators a mile and a half on the opposite side of the Chickahominy Valley heard nothing of what they clearly saw. The bombardment of Port Royal, heard and felt at St. Augustine, 150 miles to the south, was inaudible 2 miles to the north in a still atmosphere. A few days before the surrender of Appomattox, a thunderous engagement between the commands of Sheridan and Pickett was unknown to the latter commander, a mile in the rear of his own line. These instances were not known to the man of whom we write, but less striking ones in the same character. But the same character had not escaped the observation. He was profoundly disquieted, but for another reason, for the uncanny silence was a moonlight mark. Good Lord, he said to himself, and again it was as if another had spoken his thought. That those people are what I take them to be. We have lost the battle and they are moving on to Nashville. They came and thought of self and apprehension, a strong sense of personal peril, such as in other we call fear. We stepped quickly into the shadow of a tree. And still, the silent battalion moved slowly toward the haze. A chill of a sudden breeze upon the back of his neck drew his attention to the quarter whence it came, and turning to the east he saw a faint gray light among the horizon. The first sight of returning day, and this increased his apprehension. I must get away from here, he thought, or I shall be discovered and taken. He moved out of the shadow, walking rapidly toward the graying east. From the safer seclusion of a clump of cedars, he looked back. The entire column had passed out of sight. The straight right road lay bare and desolate in the moonlight. Puzzled, puzzled before, he was now inexpressibly astonished. So swift a passage of so slow an arm, he could not comprehend it. Minute after minute passed unnoticed. He had lost his sense of time. He thought with a terrible earnestness his solution to the mystery, but sought in vain. At last he raised He sought in vain. When at last he roused himself for the abstraction, the sun's rims were visible above the hills. But in the new conditions, he found no other light than that of day. His understanding was evolved as starkly in doubt as before. On every side lay cultivated fields, showing no signs of war. The war's ravages from the chimneys of the farmhouse. Then ascensions the blue smoke signaled separation, and for a day's peaceful toil has filled its immemorial allocution to the moon. The watchdog was assisting a Negro who, prefixing a team of mule to the plow, and flattening its suffering contentedly to the task. The hero of this tale stared. The hero of this tale stared stupidly at the pastoral picture as he had never seen such a thing in all his life. Then he put his hand to his head, passed it through his gray hair, rewarding him, attentively considering it upon a singular thing to do. Apparently, we reassured by the act, we walked confidently toward the road. When you have lost your life, consult. When you have lost your life, consult a physician. Dr. Stilling Mouse of Murfreesboro, having visited a patient 67 miles away on the Nashville Road. He remained with him all the doctors of the time and region. He had passed into the neighborhood of Stones River battlefield when a man approached him from the roadside and saluted in the military fashion with a movement of the right hand to the hat brim. But the hat was not a military hat. The man was not in uniform and not a material and had not a martial bearing. The doctor nodded civilly, half thinking, but this stranger's uncommon greeting was perhaps a deference to the historic surroundings, as the stranger evidently desired to speak with him. He courteously reined in his horse and waited. Sir, said the stranger, though a civilian, you are perhaps an enemy. I am of resistance, was a non-committal reply. Thank you, said the other. I am a lieutenant of the staff of General Hayes. He paused a moment and looked thoughtfully at the person whom he was addressing, the data of the Federal Army. The physician merely nodded. Kindly tell me, continued the other, what has happened here? Where are the armies? Which was won? Which has won the battle? The physician regarded the questioner curiously with half-shut eyes. After professional scrutiny, prolonged to the limit of politeness. Pardon me, he said, when asking information to be willing to impart it. Are you wounded? He said, smiling. Not seriously, please. The man removed the military hat. The man removed the unmilitary hat, put his hand to his head, passed it through his hair, and withdrawing it, attentively considered the palm. I was struck by a bullet. I have been unconscious. It must have been a light, glancing blow. I find no blood and feel no pain. I will not trouble you for your treatment, but will you kindly direct me to my command, to any part of the Federal Army, if you know? Again, the doctor did not immediately reply. He was recalling much that is recorded in the books of his possessors, books of his profession, something about lost identity and the effect of familiar scenes in restoring. At length he looked the man in the face, smiled, and said, Lieutenant, you are not wearing the uniform of your rank in service. At this, the man glanced down at his civilian attire, lifted his eyes, said with hesitation, That is true. That is true. I don't quite understand. Still regarding him sorrowfully, but not unsympathetically, the man of science bluntly inquired, How old are you? 23, if that has anything to do with it. You don't look it. I should hardly have guessed you to be just that. The man was growing impatient. We need not discuss that, he said. I want to know about the army. Not 2 hours ago, I saw a column of troops moving northward on this road. You must have met them. Be good enough to tell me the color of their clothing, which I was able to make out, or you, and I'll trouble you no more. Are you quite sure you saw them? Sir, my God, sir, I have counted them. Why? Really, said the physician, with the amusing consciousness of his own resemblance to the located barber of the Arabian Nights. This is it, this is very interesting. I met no truth. The man looked at him coldly and asked, and, and if he had himself observed the likeness to the barber, it is plain, he said, that you do not care to assist. Sir, you may go to the devil. He turned and strode away. Not much at random. Across the dewy field, across the dewy field, his half-penitent tormentor quietly watching him from his point of vantage and the saddle till he disappeared beyond the array of trees. The danger of looking into a pool of water. After leaving the road, the man slackened his pace and now went forward rather deviously, with a distinct feeling of fatigue. He could not account for this. Through truly the interminable loquacity of the country or doctor offered itself in explanation. Seating himself upon a rock, he said, he laid one hand upon his knee, back upward, and casually looked at it. It was lean and withered. He lifted both hands to his face. It was seen to forward. He could trace the lines of the tip of his fingers. How strange. A mere bullet stroke in a brief unconsciousness did not make one a physical wreck. I must have been a long time in a hospital, he said out loud. Why? What a fool I am. The battle in December and now it's summer. He laughed. No wonder that fellow thought me as an escaped lunatic. He was wrong. I am only an escaped patient. At a little distance, a small plot of ground enclosed by a stone wall caught his attention. With no very definite intent, he rose and went to it. In the center of the square, solid monument of hewn stone till it's brown with age, rather worn at the angles, spotted with moss and lichen. Between the massive blocks were strips of grass and leathered whose roots have pushed them apart. In answer to the challenge of this ambitious structure, Tom had laid his destroying hand upon it, and would be soon. It would be soon be one with Minecraft tie in an inscription on one side as his eye caught a familiar name. Shaking with excitement, he craned his body across the wall and read Hagen's Brigade to the memory of the soldiers who fell at Stone River March 31st, 1862. The man fell back from the wall, faint and sick, almost within his arm's length, was a little depression in the earth. It had been filled by recent rain, a pool of clear water. He crept to it and revived himself, lifted the upper part of his body from his trembling arm, thrust forward his head and saw the reflection of his face as in a mirror. He uttered a terrible cry. His arms gave away. He fell face downward into the pool and yielded up the life that had spanned another life. That is it for that short story. A resumed identity. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And I'll see you on the next one. Bye.
Thank you for taking your time out to give us a listen. And remember, become a member of ACAST Plus. God bless.